So how many of you guys have seen those Got Milk posters in like your elementary school cafeteria or something? I know for a lot of us, and definitely for me, that was probably one of the only interactions I had with like nutritional education when I was in elementary school. And so one of the big things that we know is that childhood obesity is on the rise here in America, and so for us it's a big thing, and I think that one of the key instruments that we could use to kind of decrease childhood obesity is to encourage nutrition education in our schools. So childhood obesity is obviously on the rise. If you pay attention to the news at all, you'll see. The percentage of overweight children increased to nearly 18% in 2012. Combined overweight and obese children in America, it's about 33%. And so a lot of children aren't getting the amount of fruits and vegetables that they need. Children are recommended to have about 5 to 8 teaspoons of sugar each day, but most children have about 21 teaspoons of sugar each day, and so for like a visual representation, this is like a week's amount of sugar for what they're supposed to have, and then this is what they're actually having each week. So it's kind of a big difference. Very obvious, not a good thing, and it's kind of showing that the resources are just not there for children right now to make healthy choices. They just aren't being informed of what to do. And so the obesity can lead to a lot of different complications. A lot of obese children are at risk for diabetes. A lot of them already show signs of pre-diabetes. And then things like cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, things like that. And then also it's not only physical. A lot of overweight children show signs of low self-esteem, depression, and quite a few develop eating disorders. So one of the big things is that these are children under 4, may spend up to 40 hours a week in non-parental care, and it just grows and grows as children get older and older. And so it shows that it's not a home problem, it's something that really needs to be worked on outside of the home too, especially in schools. And so they said that it takes about 35 to 50 hours for a child to master nutrition education and for them to have the tools that they need. And that's overall, so even if they just did it for 1 year, like in 4th grade in elementary school, that's only like an hour a week. So that's definitely something to think about. It also can prevent future problems, like we were talking about in some of the other presentations. Obesity is a big thing in America, and obese children are often obese adults. And so it can lead to a lot of complications in adulthood, like osteoporosis. Certain types of cancer are caused by being overweight or obese. And so it can also increase the severity of these problems. And so 2.6 million people die each year as a result of being overweight or obese. And I think that if we can kind of get ahead of it in childhood, we can probably decrease the number of people who are dying each year. That's a huge amount of people. And so I definitely think it's something to think about. And then also just like the money side of things, $147 billion in national healthcare costs each year are for obesity or overweight related causes. And so for just like if you're here to save money for the government and stuff, I definitely think that trying to get in ahead of the game in childhood can really decrease costs as we get older. And so our taxes can go to something that's not, healthcare costs for this. And then this is just like a projected obesity rates in 2030. Here's Florida. The South is just kind of insane with the obesity rates. And so I definitely think that if we get in with our kids right now, I think that we can change the way this map looks completely. And then it can also be used outside of school. So a lot of, this is especially prevalent in like low-income families. Low-income families don't necessarily have the resources that they need to provide healthy options for their kids. And a lot of low-income families don't have the education for like what is healthy and what is nutritious versus what is kind of bad for you. And so there's something called the double burden of disease where low-income families feed their children like really unhealthy foods and foods that are very low in nutrients. And I think that it can lead to a lot of children who are underweight or undernourished right next to children who are obese in the same community or even in the same household. And so if we're educating these kids while they're young, they can take it home with them, they can teach their parents. I know that when I was young, and I do it now still, if I learn something really interesting in school, I just go home and I take it to my parents, and I'm like, you know, well, this, you shouldn't really be eating this, or like, this has this nutrients in it. And so I think a lot of kids do the same thing. They'll take it home and then they'll teach their parents. And then it can also help stop the adult obesity, because when children are taking it home to their parents, then their parents are eating healthier, their parents are making healthier choices. And so that kind of reduces both adult and childhood obesity in one. And I have this little video. Oh, there's a there might be an ad. Well, anyway, it was about a 12-year-old girl who had struggled with being overweight for her whole life, and so she was involved in one of these nutrition education programs, and through it, her mom was saying she takes it home to her parents and her aunts and her uncles, and she teaches them all how to like make healthy choices, and she's like, Mom, you don't need these chips, you need an apple, or something like that. And so it kind of shows, well, it would have shown how nutrition education can really be effective at home too. And so for something that you guys can do, definitely stay educated. I linked Let's Move, which is Michelle Obama's health initiative for children. It has a lot of like information and resources on how to take action. There's actually like this cool interactive map that you can click on and type in like your zip code and see exactly what you can do in your hometown. And then I also think that it's really important to reach out to local administrators and suggest different ways to get involved in nutrition. There's a lot of programs that are free, so it's not really a cost thing, it's just keeping the administrators educated.